Indeed, Vuyo, can you talk us through what we are seeing in terms of the process leading up to what's expected to be a
Can you hear me?
Funeral? Vuyo, if you can hear me, Vuyo Mvoko is our anchor at the Rufaro Stadium, keeping an eye on proceedings there for us. Vuyo, the remains of the former president now lying in state, and it seems like a very large number of Zimbabweans have turned up to pay their last respects.
Well, Marcel, to take our viewers maybe a step or two back, about an hour ago or so, President Emmerson Mnangagwa and the family of the former president met and had a discussion. An agreement was then reached that the family would indeed allow the people of Zimbabwe to come to the stadium and pay their last respect. And behind me is the stadium where his body will be brought, and this is where people will then get an opportunity to go and see him. I just want Ling to pen just to give you a sense of what is happening here already. The people you are seeing are the people who have already started arriving, and inside the stadium you'll probably see when he pens there are already scores, literally thousands of people who have already gathered to come and do exactly that, pay their last respects to their president from this afternoon all the way to tomorrow evening. It's in terms of an agreement that was reached between the state and the family. But where the family and the state couldn't find one another was with regard to where the former president should be buried. The family, they are digging in their heels, saying the president, they are going to honor the former president's wish, and the former president's wish was that he should be buried in his ancestral village. Now, there's no date yet, according to the family spokesperson, but that is something that they are determined to do. A battle that, of course, clearly the state didn't win, because the state would have preferred that former President Robert Mugabe be buried at Heroes Acre, where he himself actually presided over many, many funerals there. But of course, there's a history to this dispute. The family of former President Robert Mugabe didn't take kindly to how he was deposed, and they haven't really had a relationship with both the state and ZANU-PF ever since. And that, in fact, is what is playing itself out here, Marcel.
Vuyo, does this mean that the state funeral that was planned for Saturday is in question now as well?
No, Marcel, there will be call it a memorial service, while other people call it a funeral service as opposed to a burial ceremony. But whatever you call it, there will be that big ceremony on Saturday. It's going to be at the big sports stadium, which is much bigger than the stadium you are seeing behind me. And that is where 11 heads of state will converge together with 9 African heads of state, and that is where also about 8 other former heads of state will converge, of course joining millions of Zimbabweans who will have gathered there to pay their respects. That particular ceremony has been allowed to go ahead. The family agreed to that one because an argument was made by the state that this is not only a Zimbabwean but a continental icon. Allow Africa to come and join Zimbabweans as they pay their last respect. The family agreeing to that this afternoon, and indeed they too will also be there, led by the former president's widow. So on Saturday, that particular memorial service is indeed going to go ahead. And among the people that are expected, in fact, President Emmerson Mnangagwa did announce at the church service that was held at the home of the former President Robert Mugabe earlier. President Emmerson Mnangagwa, Zimbabwe's sitting president, did announce that several heads of state have indeed confirmed, and among them is President Cyril Ramaphosa. Also, former Presidents Jacob Zuma and Thabo Mbeki will also be in attendance. And among the several heads of state, African heads of state that will be attending is Kenya's Kenyatta, as well as several others from around the continent.
We are going back to what we believe now is a disagreement between the Mugabe family and the government about where Robert Mugabe's final resting place would be. Is it fair to say then that this is a result of the Mugabe family still being rather unhappy at the way Robert Mugabe was removed from office in late 2017, and that the former president should not have a final resting place that belongs to all of its people, as it were?
Precisely, it is that. It is a relationship the family really hasn't had with both ZANU-PF and the state since Robert Mugabe was, of course, ousted. But the family was also saying there was another issue. They believe that they have been disrespected because the government went ahead and announced plans for the next few days without having involved the family, certainly not to the extent that they would have wished. It's a bit of a rather strange situation, because from what we're told, in fact, days ago, it was that the reason you had the state deputy president, several members of cabinet, as well as senior members of ZANU-PF's Politburo going to join the former president's wife as they were preparing to repatriate the body from Asia to Zimbabwe. It was precisely to get those conversations going, so that by the time things got to the point where they are now, the state and the family would have found one another. So clearly that did not happen. But as things stand, or right now, we are no wiser about what did or didn't transpire. Safe to say that they have been able to agree on certain issues but not on others. The family really saying that on the burial issue, they want to honor his wish, and his wish was that he should be buried in his ancestral village and not at the Heroes Acre. So what is going to happen on Sunday is that the body will move to his village, and that is where the people of his village and, of course, the people of that province will get an opportunity to do what the people behind me are going to start doing in the next hour or two, as soon as the body of the former president arrives. And thereafter, the family then has asked for privacy, saying they will want to bury him in private where he preferred to be buried. The date, though, has not yet been confirmed.
Well, I'm sure you'll bring us the very latest as soon as that news does come through. ENCA's Vuyo Mvoko coming to us live there from the Rufaro Stadium, where the body of former Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe continues to lie in state. We'll bring you more from Harare.